everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel in this video. If you're new here, my name is Beth and I am a reseller on Poshmark, Etsy, and eBay. And I resell vintage hard goods and clothing when I can find it. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I started in Poshmark with modern clothing full-time for the last year or so. And before that, kind of part-time on Poshmark. And I have also tried Amazon FBA. So that's what this video is about and why it didn't work out for me. I want to say that I'm not discouraging, or I hope I'm not discouraging anyone from trying FBA, Amazon FBA. But I think that because of some of my circumstances, it just didn't work out for me. And I want to just explain why, because I know that I've gotten some questions about how it's going, and some of my best numbers as far as viewing or views of videos were my Amazon FBA book hauls. So again, this channel is full transparency. I share my numbers, I share mistakes and success, everything. So this is another thing that I'm sharing, and again, why I don't want to say why I failed, but why I decided it wasn't worth my time. So if you're someone who's been looking into it, you'll see that a lot of people recommend that you start out in used books. So for a few different reasons. They're cheap because you know, there's mass quantities, and sometimes people don't see a lot of value in books. And I just also want to say, again, I don't know how much research you've done. You can't just pick any book, and I mean, you can go pick any book and send it into Amazon, but there are factors like sales rank and a bunch of other things that make it worth your while or not. So there are valuable books out there. You need to find them to make it worth it to send them into the warehouse. So my biggest problem was sourcing. I live in the middle of nowhere, northern New Hampshire, right on the Canadian border, and everything is hours away from me. So the nearest Goodwill, 2.5, 3 hours. Savers is 3 hours away. I have local thrift stores, but the inventory is so stagnant. Like I could go there and then in 4 months it's still a lot of the same stuff. You know, like I don't have a constant flow of inventory that I can look for. Whereas someone in a big populated place could go to Goodwill and there's something new every day. So I had to get kind of creative. I went to every library from here up to 2 hours away from where I live, and I asked if they had any books for sale. I also looked for some book sales, you know, because usually during the summer, I know a lot of libraries will have just a book sale. Um, and I found a couple of good ones. So the one in my town had a basement full of books that were kind of like name your price almost. I don't want him to wake up my son, our cat. Um, and so I was able to get boxes of books, like 5 boxes for $20, or you know what I mean? So really cheap. So I spent hours and hours in there going through like every book and trying to find out what was valuable. And I sent off about 6 boxes to Amazon from that. And then there was another library about 45 minutes away that had a basement full of books that were, all the paperbacks were free, and the hardcovers were like 25 cents. So I spent a couple days in there scanning books and trying to figure out what I should send in and everything. All the while getting better at knowing what to look for, kind of working faster and everything. And that just comes with doing it, really, experience. So those were a couple of good places, but there were a couple places that just had like a shelf with just maybe 10 books, or they're all fiction, or I couldn't find enough inventory as far as that went. So I tried thrift stores. Again, same problem. Not a lot of inventory rotating, so once I cleaned them out, that was pretty much it for that place. So then I started looking for book sales. So I thought, okay, if I can go to a book sale, like a big book sale, even if it's hours away, and just clean up and have it, like get my inventory, maybe do it twice a year or something, get as much inventory there as possible, because I wasn't really realistically looking to make 6 figures. I just wanted a passive income that I could reinvest into my reselling vintage business, and I also have a cake business from home. So I was just kind of looking for that, just, you know, a little money to trickle in and when I need it. So I figured if I could do a few of those during the summer when they usually are, that would be great. But realistically, they're so far away, and they start so early that we would have to like stay the night before, or leave at like 2 in the morning and stuff. And so it's just not practical. I feel like between that and gas, and then we'd want to get food while we were there, I feel like I'm spending money to make money for sure. And to some extent, that's kind of expected, but it just wasn't the best thing for me. So I thought, okay, I'm going to source online. Um, I know that the money's people will say, and I agree to some extent, that the money's in textbooks. So you can order textbooks in the off season, buy from merchants or eBay or whatever. Even FBA, I guess sometimes, maybe if you get lucky. Buy them cheap and then hang on to them and then send them in right before um, the textbook season. So like they are usually around August for the fall semester and March for the not March, January, January for the spring semester, and then summer, sometimes too. And so I looked into sourcing online, so online arbitrage, and it's really tough to find things that you can flip really well. It's kind of scary because either you get it and you send it in right away and could wait months until it's hot, or and then you have to pay storage fees, or you can keep it at home and then who knows if you send it in at the right time. I mean, these are all things that I could have really focused on, and I'm not saying it's not possible, but hopefully I'm not like, this is what I think, I'm backing up, this is what I think, backing up. I don't want to be annoying, but I just don't want to seem like there's only one way about things and explain why I didn't do some things. So um, it was hard to just kind of figure out on my own, and there are resources out there that you can use. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos about how to go through, how to search through Amazon, and find valuable books and textbooks and stuff, and figure out, read the Keepa graphs, and Camel to explain what time of year they're great, when to buy them, when's the off season, and show statistics like sales rank and everything. So that was great, but it took a long time and I felt like it was still a gamble, but it was really the only choice that I had. So I did order about 7 or 8 books, and I would say half of them came in the condition that wasn't described. So that really was upsetting. And obviously, I could just leave a bad review. I didn't get around to it. Not that I would leave like a scathing review, but it was unfortunate. I paid money for what I thought I was getting, and um, if you look back at my Amazon book haul, I think my last one, you can see what I got. But anyway, um, so it's hard to just navigate yourself. So there are resources out there like eFlip. I think that's the biggest one, where you can plug things in and it can show you books that are valuable based on those statistics, and it kind of is an easy way to figure out what you should buy. So I signed up for a free trial, and I thought, even if I can't subscribe um, because of money or whatever, I'll do as much as I can in a month. And that's the way that I got those textbooks, by the way. And I thought that it was good, but I just didn't have a huge chunk of money to invest. And that's what they say. You need like $1,000. You don't need, but the best thing to do is start with like $1,000 and buy a whole bunch of online arbitrage, then send that in. And it snowballs and snowballs. I completely think that that would work for me because I know that it works for people, and I'm someone who would have to source online. The problem is I don't have $1,000 to invest. And even if I did, I'd be a little nervous. So basically what I was finding was I was spending $50 here and there when I had it, and then taking that gamble that they'd sell, and it's just that your money is tied up for so long, and it does pay off um, potentially, but again, your money's tied up for months and months, and it's just that didn't work for me. Yeah, so the other thing is Amazon FBA. If you want to do it in such a large quantity that you make a lot of money, you need to be efficient. And to be efficient, you really need the tools out there, and they cost money. So Inventory Lab is great. I really enjoyed using that. That's a software that kind of keeps track of the shipments that you send to Amazon, and it keeps track of like your cost of goods, um, your average sales rank, everything. Really good information, um, and some other things. You can link it right up to your seller account. But that is, and I'm going to throw out these numbers just off my memory, but I know that they're all at least 20. But Inventory Lab, I think, is around 40 a month. So that's expensive. Amazon FBA, a pro account, to get the fulfillment by Amazon itself is $40 a month. So then there's $80 a month. Then if I'm sourcing online in bulk, like I said, I have two other businesses. I have a 5-month-old and a 3-year-old, and I don't really have time every day unless I just get rid of everything else, as far as businesses. I don't have time every day to go through manually and try to research and find things. So I would really have to invest in eFlip, which is, if you want the book version, because there's like CDs and outliers and something else. It may have changed since I tried it. It's like $80 a month. So there's that, which is expensive, obviously. So what are we up to? Like 120 a month if you're doing those. And then there's a great app called Scout IQ. There's also a couple of other ones. I can't remember what they're called, but I subscribe to Scout IQ, which is awesome. You scan a book and it calculates things based on what you would pay for it. If basically it turns green if you should buy it, based on triggers and profit that you put in. So that was great because then you can scan books quickly, and yeah, then you don't have to spend hours and hours, if you're physically looking at books and sourcing books. So I had that when I was going through the libraries, because again, it just took forever. And even just with your phone, that takes forever. I can't remember how much Scout IQ is a month, because there are two ways that you can do Scout IQ. There's database and what is it called? Internet. I can't remember. Live maybe. So as things are changing, it's telling you like in the moment what things are selling for and the sales rank. There's also a database. So if you're in the basement of a library, you have like the most recent database from whenever you downloaded it before, so that you can still do what you need to do. So if you don't have service or internet or whatever. So I think that's around $40 a month. It is awesome software, genius. I'm not saying that I didn't love it and it wasn't worth it, but for me, I started sourcing online, and so I didn't need it as much. But there were some times when I was out at a thrift store getting vintage stuff that I would use it. So I switched over to just uh, internet or without the database. So I kind of took the chance that I'd be in a place where I didn't have service, but it's like $15 a month to do just the live internet. So I switched over that so I would have it if I was in a place where I needed to scan a bunch of books. So that was good. But then if you go to book sales and where there's a large quantity of books that you're trying to scan, whether you're by yourself or especially if there are people there, other people scouting books to send in, you're going to want a scanner. So you can link the scanner up to these apps and everything. And for example, with Scout IQ, I know you can wear like headphones. You can have a tone go off when it's a potential profitable book, and you can just scan, scan, scan. When you hear it, put it aside. Like, there are people that do that, and so I wasn't there yet. I wasn't there yet in doing that, in many ways. But there were some times in basements or something, or even at book sales for libraries and stuff, where it's helpful to have that scanning wand, like they use at libraries, which costs money. So I'm not saying you need that, but again, I was expecting to go in this 100%. And I feel like if you really do want to make the big money, you have to. So I didn't invest in that kind of equipment right off, but it kind of got to the point where I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And that's just the way that I am. So, yeah. So in my opinion, even just the $40 a month for Amazon FBA, if I'm having a hard time getting inventory and I'm not necessarily making much more than that, or even that some months, I'm paying Amazon to not make money. And the other things that will help you source and do things efficiently cost money as well. There are free things like Keepa, I know is free. I think you have to pay now to be able to look at the graphs with things like the history and the sales rank and everything, which is unfortunate because I think it's getting more expensive to get into this industry. But yeah, I felt like it cost too much to try to make money. And it was such a big gamble because here I am spending like over $100 depending on what I think. I pick and choose what I think are the best tools. I'm still spending 140, 150 a month. And it's just scary, especially in the beginning when you don't have that income. You're just trying to get things off the ground. And I just felt like I couldn't take that risk. So unfortunately, it did not work out for me for those reasons. Just hard time sourcing, and I just didn't have the capital to launch this thing. And again, I want to say that that's something that's like, duh, if you're going to start a business, you need money to invest first. But um, I wasn't planning on doing this full time. I was trying to do it small scale and just kind of, like I said, have that passive income. Um, but it seems like you kind of have to have some money squirreled away to get started especially if you're just going to source online. So I hope this was helpful. I'm not discouraging anyone from doing any of this. Um, and real quick, I will say, so like there are some people that go to garage sales or um, go in stores when things are on clearance, buy a bunch of stuff, send it in, and they make a profit. But there were a couple reasons why I didn't do that. I did at a couple garage sales, but I'm someone who doesn't like scanning things when I'm at a garage sale. I feel uncomfortable, and maybe that's where I went wrong. I just can't do it. So I would get something and I'd get in my car and research it and find out that I was restricted in the category. There are some restrictions, and you need to be ungated in some things. And a lot of the time, the way to do that is you have to show that that you sold a bunch of stuff, which you can't do if blah blah blah. So to me, it was like a kind of a circle or cycle. So that's one reason. So I would find out that I was restricted, and there was not much I could do about that until I'd sold a lot of stuff. The other thing is the stores that have clearance things are really far away. So I have a Walgreens in town, but they're not. There really isn't like a rock bottom sale that I'm going to be able to get things and um, turn a profit. Also, I know that there's also kind of like there are people that just do that or they rely a lot on sourcing that way. And when something like at Walmart, if something's on sale or clearancing out, like for example, Christmas stuff or something, there are people that do this and then they drive the market down. And then by the time you send it in, which is takes like sometimes a week ish to kind of like be live, maybe a little less, but even within days, what you thought you were going to make and be able to list it at can completely tank. And so that's something that I wasn't comfortable with. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too cautious for this kind of thing. But yeah, so that's why I stuck to books. And so that's what I have to say about that. I'm really bummed because it was perfect for me where I could kind of just do it at my own pace. And I loved that I could store things at the Amazon warehouse because I have a small house. So, and I already have a reselling business. So I'm kind of using what space I have to store hard goods, which take up a lot of room. So again, if it's for you, or if you don't have these things in your life that kind of are obstacles like they were for me, then definitely give it a try. If you do, and you can think of ways around things, like maybe your lifestyle is different, maybe you don't have two little kids and that you have to find babysitter for to go 2 hours away to a book sale or whatever, then great, give it a try. I just wanted to throw this out there to show people that realistically it's not for everyone, and hopefully help other people plan better or prepare better if they're really really in it. So thank you so much for watching. The upcoming videos obviously will be more about vintage reselling, but I just wanted to take a chance or take a second and pop on here and talk about this. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.